Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the new lecture on dosage form science. I am Shoaib Mohammed, lecturer in the Department of Pharmaceutics, Faculty of Pharmacy, University of Sindh. In the current lecture, we will be discussing about the solutions, and the material for this lecture has been taken and adapted from Pharmaceutical Dosage Forms by Ansel. So this is the outline of the lecture. Firstly, we will be going through the definition of the solutions, and then we will be discussing in detail the oral solutions, dry mixtures for solutions, oral rehydration solutions, and finally the oral colonic lavage solution. So by definition, the solutions are liquid preparations that contain one or more of the chemical substances or the medicinal substances that are dissolved in a suitable solvent or in a mixture of mutually miscible solvents. So we can use a single solvent for the drug, or we can use more than one solvent for the drug, and these two solvents will be miscible with each other. And these two of the solvents may be both aqueous in nature, or maybe one solvent is aqueous in nature and other solvent is non-aqueous in nature. Depending upon the route of administration, the solutions can be classified into the oral solutions, which will be used orally, the otic solutions that are used into the air, the ophthalmic solutions that are used into the eye, and the topical solutions that are used onto the skin topically. The oral solutions can be further classified depending upon their use or their formulation into the oral solutions, dry mixtures for solutions, oral rehydration solutions, and the oral colonic lavage solution. Now we will go into the details of the oral solutions. The oral solutions are clear liquid preparations for oral use, and that may contain one or more of the active pharmaceutical ingredients that are dissolved in a suitable vehicle. Now that vehicle may be aqueous or non-aqueous. The oral solutions are designed in such a way that the patient receives the usual dose of the medication. They are designed to be taken as 5 ml of the syrup, that is equal to the 1 teaspoon. They may be taken as 10 ml of the syrup as a single dose, or they may be taken as 15 ml or 1 tablespoon of the solution as a single dose. Now, though most of the solutions are taken as 5, 10, or 15 ml of the volume, some of the solutions are maybe used in the larger quantities, like the magnesium citrate oral solution that is described into the United States Pharmacopoeia is taken by the adult as a dose of 200 ml, while even some of the solutions are taken into the minute quantities, even into the drop form, like into the children, with the help of calibrated dropper. If you go into the details of the preparation of the oral solutions might also require the colorants and flavorants for increasing the palatability and acceptability of the product. We can also use stabilizers for the stability, for the chemical stability or physical stability of the preparations. We also require the use of the preservatives for the control of the growth of the microorganisms into the preparations. While making these preparations, the pharmacist must have the knowledge regarding the interaction of the different components and the compatibility of the different components with each other. For suppose the esters of para-hydroxybenzoic acid like methylparaben, ethylparaben, propylparaben, and butylparabens that are one of the commonly used preservative have the tendency to partition in certain of the flavoring oils. Now, if for example we are making an oral solution, and there is a water portion, and there is the flavoring oils are mostly the volatile oils, so the volatile oils will be dissolved into the water. But however, when we are adding the preservatives, the preservative have more tendency, especially the esters of the para-hydroxybenzoic acid, to be solubilized into these oils, and they will be tending to be more present into these flavoring oils, into the droplets of the flavoring oils, and they will be less present into the aqueous proportion of the solutions. So they will be producing less antimicrobial action into the aqueous portion of the formulation, and more effect into the flavoring oils or the volatile oil proportion of the solutions, and that is not required. The preservative should produce its effects and throughout the formulation equally. Next, we have the dry mixtures for the solutions. Now, some of the medicinal agents have less stability or insufficient stability into the aqueous solutions, like the penicillin V. And if we place these drugs into an aqueous solutions, they will be deteriorated, and they cannot sustain a longer shelf life period. So the manufacturers are preparing these types of the medicinal agents in a reconstituted form. The medicinal agents along with the excipients is provided into a powder or a granulated form, and later on the specified quantity of the purified water will be added to this dry powder and the granules, and a formulation will be made, and that can be taken orally. And because of that, the shelf life of, or the we say the expiry of the product will be increased. The dry powder that is required to be reconstituted by the pharmacist already contains the required quantities of the drug, flavorant, colorant, buffers, and other excipients that are required for the formulation, except for the solvent. Once these formulations are reconstituted, they can be safely be used for 7 to 14 days when stored into the refrigerator. There are many of the formulations that are available into the market. For example, the cloxacillin sodium for oral solution that is described into the United States Pharmacopoeia. It's an anti-infective antibiotic from the class of the penicillins used in the treatment of the various types of the infections. The penicillin V potassium for oral solution that is also described into the United States Pharmacopoeia. It's an anti-infective antibiotics used in various types of the treatment of the various types of the infections. The third product is the potassium chloride for oral solution that is also described into the United States Pharmacopoeia, and it is an potassium sulfate supplement and used in the deficiencies of the potassium. You might notice one thing, that these formulations will be having the word for oral solutions, means they will be provided into the dry powder form, and they are required to be reconstituted, and then they are taken orally. So the word will be for oral solution. Next, we have the oral rehydration solutions. The diarrhea is a medical condition in which there is rapid fluid loss that can lead to dehydration and ultimately death in some patients, particularly the infants. There is reporting of about more than 5 million children younger than 4 years of age due to the diarrhea every year worldwide. Now, basically, the diarrhea is a normal physiological body response which is taken to get rid of some noxious substance or toxic substances from the body. Like if the body wants to get rid of the rotavirus or the Escherichia coli, there will be diarrhea to get rid of these microorganisms or the toxic substances into the feces. So the treatment will approach will be to so that there is diarrhea. There is for some time there should be diarrhea, because it's a normal physiological response, and sufficient of the noxious or toxic substances have been removed. But we should not be so late that the patient go into the dehydration. So we should not be too quick, but we should be prompt. We should take the action after sufficient time, so that the patient should not go into the dehydration. And the goal of the therapy will be to replace the lost fecal water, the water that has been lost into the feces, and the electrolytes that has been lost into the feces, we will try to replace them by the use of the oral rehydration solutions. The oral rehydration solutions are usually effective in the treatment of the patient if the volume depletion is mild, and that is about 5 to 10% of the body weight. The therapy is based on the observation that when the glucose is given in this formulation, when glucose reaches into the small intestine, it is absorbed into the small intestine, and the absorption of the glucose can even take place at the excessive uh, times of the diarrhea. Now, when the glucose is absorbed through the small intestine, along with the glucose, there will be sodium absorption as well. The glucose carries sodium along with that. And when the sodium is carried along with the glucose, the sodium will carry water along with it. So there will be reabsorption of the sodium and water, and eventually the water lost will be covered. Uh, Formulation of the ORS: a liter of a typical ORS will contain about 45 milliequivalent of sodium, 20 milliequivalent of the potassium, 35 milliequivalent of chloride, 30 milliequivalent of citrate, and 25 gram of dextrose. The oral dehydration solutions are the over-the-counter drugs. These does not require any kind of the prescription for their purchase, and they are relatively inexpensive products. The formulations are available into liquid form or into the powder form, and that powder is required to be reconstituted. The purified is water is required to be added to that powder, and then the formulation is taken by mouth. These products should not be mixed with any kind of the electrolyte containing liquid, such as the mixed milk or the fruit juices, because they may cause the incompatibility into the formulation. In the last, we are going through the oral colonic Levard solutions. These solutions are basically used to clean up the colon for the maybe the surgical processes or the investigative processes. But before going through the preparation of these kind of the solutions or the use of these kind of the solutions, we will first discuss the preparation that were used for this purpose, for the cleaning or evacuation of the colon, and we will discuss that why we are using these kind of the preparations, the oral colonic solution, liver solutions. So traditionally, if a person was going through colonoscopy, that is the investigation of the colon for any of the pathologies, with the help of the device which has a camera at the tip of it. So the patient was asked to go through a certain regimen at home a night before, and that regimen included the administration of clear liquid diet 20 to 48 hours preceding the procedure, the administration of an oral laxative such as magnesium citrate or bisacodyl night before the procedure, and a cleansing enema administered 2 to 4 hours prior to the procedure. Now, this long process of 20 to 24 hours on a liquid diet, taking a laxative night before, and again going for the administration of the enema 2 to 4 hours before the procedure, was very uncomfortable to the patient, and it was causing the poor compliance with poor acceptance of the regimen, and of course it will eventually be causing problems with the procedure of the colonoscopy or the other investigative procedures. So consequently, an alternate method was developed to facilitate the investigative procedures into the colon. Now, this method involved the oral administration of a balanced solution of electrolytes with polyethylene glycol. It was called as the PEG 3350 electrolyte solution, or in short PEGES. This formulation was available into the powder form that was required to be reconstituted with water. It creates an isoosmotic solution and has a mildly salty taste. Now, when this formulation is given orally to the patient, the polyethylene glycol acts as an osmotic agent and it absorbs water from the intestine. Now, as a result of the more water into the intestine, there will be purgation and there will be evacuation of the bowel. However, during this purgation process and absorption of the water from the intestine, there will be no loss of the electrolytes from the body or from the intestine, because the formulation contains a balanced level of the electrolyte concentration. So inside the intestine there is sufficient level of the electrolytes. So though the water will move from the intestine into the intestinal lumen and move through the bowel, while the electrolytes will not be moving along with the water. So there will be no loss of the electrolytes during this procedure. So here is the list and quantities of the constituents of the oral colonic lavage solution. This includes the polyethylene glycol 3350 that is present in the amount of 236 gram, sodium sulfate 22.74 gram, sodium bicarbonate 6.74 gram, sodium chloride 5.86 gram, potassium chloride in 2.97 gram quantity. And this formulation is present in a powder state, which is to be reconstituted in about 4 liters of the water, and it's present into a disposable container. Over here we have the guidelines for the intake of the oral colonic lavage solutions. The recommended adult dose of this product is about 4 liter, and that is required to be taken before the gastrointestinal procedure. The patient is instructed to drink about 240 ml of the solution every 10 minutes until the 4 liters are consumed. The patient should also be advised to drink each portion quickly rather than sipping it continuously, and usually the first bowel movement will occur within 1 hour. Ideally, the patient should not have taken any kind of the food 3 to 4 hours before beginning to take this solution. In no case, solid foods should be taken by the patients, and at least 2 hours, this should happen 2 hours before solution is administered. Even after the completion of the procedure, the patient should not take any of the foods except for clear liquids. This product, the reconstituted product, is required to be stored in a refrigerator, and the storage into the refrigerator may somewhat decrease the salty taste of the product. To date, this approach to bowel evacuation has been associated with the low incidence of the side effects like the primarily the nausea, transient abdominal fullness, bloating, cramps, and the vomiting. Now, these kinds of the problems with the were more with the traditional preparations of using the laxative, the enemas, and the taking or stopping the taking the fluids 24 to 48 hours before the procedures. The polyethylene glycol electrolyte solutions have also been implied as an we say the have the unlabeled use in the management of the acute iron overdose in children. So if the child is having an overdose of the iron or have accidentally taken an excessive quantities of a syrup containing the iron, so we can use the polyethylene glycol electrolyte solution to evacuate the excessive of the iron that is present into the gastrointestinal tract. So this is all about the solutions. Thank you very much.